Good evening. We're at 7:02. Call to order this meeting at June 17, 2019. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome. Let's see, we're going to start with our public service announcements.
Yeah, I may. This is, to the community, the deadline for the submission of citizen petition warrant articles for the October 21st, 2019 fall annual town meeting is Monday, August 5th, which means we only have one meeting between now and that time, so we try to do it 2 meetings in advance. So again, if people are interested, you need 10 signatures, and if they need assistance with the preparation, and we'll have town council review if necessary, then please contact the town manager's office, and we'll help people out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brings us to open session. Is there anybody that would like to address the board? Okay. Pat, do we have committee vacancies?
Okay, as of today, there's the following committees have vacancies. The Arts and Technology Education Fund has 1 vacancy. The CCA Advisory Committee has 2 vacancies. The Civic Committee has 4 vacancies. Community Action Program Committee has 1 vacancy. Council on Aging has 2 vacancies for associate members. Cultural Council can have up to 21 members. The Energy Conservation Committee has 2 vacancies. The Holiday Decorating Committee has 3 vacancies. The Middlesex Canal Commission has 2 vacancies. The Parade Committee is welcoming all applicants. Personnel Board needs 1 additional member. Public Celebrations Committee has 5 vacancies. The Sign Advisory Committee has 3 vacancies. The Skate Park Committee has 2 vacancies. If you're interested in serving on any of these committees, you can fill out an application online on the town website or fill out an application at the town manager's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, next we have a public hearing. We have an all alcohol beverage hotel common vigilar and entertainment license for Referrals Hospitality. Is there someone here that would?
Good afternoon. My name is Attorney John Moradian, Democus Law Offices. I'm here on behalf of Referrals Hospitality, LLC. With me is Sid. Sorry, I can't mention your last name.
Sid Baumick. Hi.
Sid Baumick, the proposed general manager of the hotel. We're seeking approval of the new alcohol license at the hotel. The hotel's been under extensive renovations for the past year and a half or so. The target opening date is July 31, so we're going forward now with the necessary permit requests. I'm also seeking a pledge of the license to, let me verify the bank name. South Shore Bank, as they're helping finance everything on this. If there are any questions you may have, I welcome them.
Did you bring the abutter notification?
Yep, the abutter notifications.
Thanks. Thank you.
So you list both the 24 hours for the hotel and then the restaurant hours. Are you serving alcohol outside of the restaurant hours also, like for room service and stuff? or-
No, there is no room service.
Okay.
The alcohol service is going to be only during post-breakfast. So breakfast is going to end around 9:30. So I think we could open the restaurant bar only from 11:30 till 9:30, like in that time zone. It
Okay.
won't be open 24/7 now.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So, public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Seeing nobody. Any motion?
It is the policy of this board for a new alcohol license to delay the vote on a on an application until the following meeting. So we would continue this public hearing until our next meeting, which will be on July 8th, at which time we would vote on it. So I'll make a motion to continue this public hearing until July 8th.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
For that hearing, do you require someone back here for that from the applicant, or?
Well, we don't require anybody back here, do we?
If we don't have any issues, then it's pretty much standard, but.
If someone were to show up and say have a complaint or something, you're not here to defend it, then.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So it's up to you.
Thank you. And then we have a transfer of alcoholic beverages package store license from John De Silva and Sons to C&J Arteaga LLC. Anybody here?
Good evening, everybody. It's been a little while since I've been here, so for the record and for those who might not know me, my name is Angelique Eliopoulos. I'm here with the law offices of Eliopoulos and Eliopoulos at 9 North Road, and I'm here tonight to present to you the application for the transfer of an all-alcoholic beverage package store license for the Wine Rack located at 210 Boston Road. So I'm joined tonight by the applicants, Cassandra Arteaga and Johnny Arteaga in the back there, husband and wife and owners of C&J Arteaga LLC, who will be purchasing the business if all goes well this evening. Current holder of the license, Mr. John De Silva, is also here in the back, who happens to not only be Cassandra's uncle, but more importantly for your purposes, probably her current employer. She's been she's the proposed manager under the license and has been running the store with Mr. De Silva for over 6 years now. So lots of experience there. I appeared before the board for Mr. De Silva in 2011. So with a peek at my notes and a little bit of math, I think he's been in business in town for 29 years. Is that right? So 29 years. And with all that service to his clients in town, he certainly wanted to make sure that the business continued on successfully. So he and the applicant have worked closely since he decided to sell the business to make sure that that transition would be smooth. But of course, the last step before he can pass the torch and hopefully enjoy his retirement is to have this board approve the transfer of his current liquor license. So I think you have the full application in front of you with all the supporting documentation. The notice had to be published, of course, but did not require any abutter notification, so I don't have any green cards to pass in to you. Again, Ms. Cassandra Arteaga will be the manager and will be full-time. She works full-time at the store now, and of course will continue full-time. What else can I tell you? LLC's in good standing. Both her and her husband have completed their beverage alcoholic training, which is included in your packets, along with all their hours of operation. Again, I believe you have all the info that you need, but of course we are here happy to answer any questions that you might have. I guess lastly, I'll make my plea for waiving the 2-week period, if that's a possibility, where this is not a new license, is an existing license, no change of location. My clients worked at the store, all the boards have signed off, et cetera. So I'll make my brief case for that. That's it.
I mean, I have a question. I might
Sure.
just be missing something here. On page 1 of your purchase and sales,
Yes.
it says the buyer shall pay to the seller the sum of $450,000. In parentheses, it says $290,000.
Oh, yes, sorry. This started a very, very long time ago. The price in the application itself is the current and accurate price. So I can get the town the correct and revised purchase price that was signed. Let's see. Purchase price I have is $290. Say that.
So it's written out $450,000, but in
Oh, right. No, that-
parentheses, it says $290. I
Yes.
just want to make sure that
290 is
everybody
the
knows what they're doing.
Yes, thank you. 290 is the correct, and I'm happy to revise that. I can send it a revised first page.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else? Well, it is a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to address the board? Okay. Discussion?
So I do have a question too. I'm
Sure.
trying to find where I had noted it. So the person who's going to become the manager, the new owner, I can't remember her name.
Cassandra Ortega.
Okay, so she's been doing several jobs, it sounds like, over the past several years as a
That's correct.
stylist. And
Over the years, yep. And but now currently, and I can certainly call her up if you wanted to ask her anything directly.
Okay, but this will be the full-time.
That is
her
correct.
Full-time job going forward. Okay, as has been noted, it is the policy of this board to continue a public hearing like this until our next meeting. I don't know how the other board members feel on this one. We do have somebody who's been working at that.
Yeah, I was going to say, how,
for-
she was been managing it, right, for the last.
I don't want to speak for her as her particular role. Is it
Okay.
all right if I ask her to come up and speak?
Sure.
I know John has still been certainly in charge and the owner, but maybe you can tell them a little bit about your role
Hi.
at the store.
Yeah, I've been managing the store for about 5-6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Full-time basis, full-time manager, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an issue where she's been managing it, and no complaints or anything filed, right?
Not that I know, no.
And I think in the past, we've let it go directly when it's been this sort of a situation.
Now, is it true, Paul, that you don't have to notify the
That's
voters
correct.
on a transfer?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. I was not aware of that.
Bless you.
They changed the application process recently, Pat, and the whole
Oh.
application, so I actually don't remember if you had to notify
Right, but
butters
in checking-
before.
but
I
in
was a
checking-
little bit
yeah.
surprised myself.
But in checking with Christina, the only one we needed the receipts and the green cards was on the previous applicant, not on the transfer.
All right, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the transfer of the package store license for the wine rack.
I will second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of the all alcohol package store license for the wine rack from John De Silva to Cassandra and Johnny Ortega. Is that close enough?
Artiega, yep.
I'll second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Good luck.
On the last of the public hearing, we have a transfer of the alcohol beverages restaurant, common, vigilar, and entertainment license to Lindsay Glenview.
Hi, good evening. My name is Karen Bolton, and I'm an attorney representing Michael Lindsay, who is here with me tonight on this request for the transfer of the license of the Glenview from the Wright Corporation, who's the current holder of the license. Michael, as some of you may know, is the owner. He's been in the business for 40 years. He's the owner of Lindsay's Catering and Lindsay's Tavern in Drake, Massachusetts. He and his wife have been in this business for 40 years. The manager is Michael Riley, who's Mike Lindsay's son, who's also been in the business for 20 years. Both Mike and his son, Michael, are also instructors, food service instructors at Greater Lowell Voc in Tingsboro. It's essentially a straight transfer. There's nothing changing. The hours aren't changing. The operation isn't changing. What is changing is there needs to be a significant amount of improvement on the structure and the business. And the property will be held in an LLC that will be owned by Michael and his wife, Sandra, and the corporation that will own the business will be Mike and Sandra, his son Mike, and his daughter-in-law, Katie. Same capacity, as I said, same hours of operation. The intention is to, it's an entity that's been under a bit of stress as of late and needs quite a bit of attention to, as I said, both the structure and the business, which is the Lindsay's intention. We would also request that you approve this tonight. Much like the last transfer, it's been published, there's no abutter notification required, and we can't go through with the purchase and sale closing until we get approval and a license in hand, and the delay just adds another unnecessary time to get this thing moving along. You'll notice in your package that in lieu of a waiver from the Department of Revenue of no taxes owed, there is a letter that will show you that any of the net proceeds from this sale go toward the payment of what is a pretty significant tax owed to the DOR. The prior owners will then, we'll give whatever, after the bank loan is paid, any other outstanding liens, we will give the full remaining balance to the DOR. They'll give us the waiver then, and then it will be up to the seller and the DOR to sort out whatever balance is owed going forward. But it will clear up this property so that there can be a proper transfer. If you have any questions of myself or Michael, we'd be happy to hear from you.
Full disclosure, I've been a friend of Michael's for 40 years, so, I mean, I have no problem waiving it if anybody else doesn't. But also, and as a kind of for my neighborhood, the quicker that place can get a little bit cleaned up, the better the town's going to be. Are you buying another piece of land, I heard, Mike? Is that any truth to that?
We don't know that.
Okay, okay.
You know, if it came to fruition, it would be a good piece of the puzzle. If it doesn't happen, we'll roll with the punches.
Because the parking there has been a little bit of a...
Yeah, we talked to some of the neighbors, and they said on occasion, people park in the end of their driveways and blocking their driveway and park in front of their houses and things like that when it was busy or when it is busy. So, you know, if we'd entertain talking to them and enlisting another piece to the puzzle, then it might be good, but we're not there yet.
So the restaurant is not open right now, or is?
It is currently open, but there is an intention for it to shut down on July 1st. For a while, we were sort of entertaining, trying to get this through so that there could be a smooth transition, but it's become obvious from the inspection, speaking with the fire chief, speaking with the health department, that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So it's going to need to shut down, but we'd like to keep it as short as possible, not to interrupt the flow of the business. But it will have to shut down for a short period of time.
And so you will not proceed with the purchase and sale until you have a liquor license in hand?
We cannot, right.
Okay.
So that's why it's imperative that we move that as quickly as possible. There's no pledge on the license, but there is, Lowell 5 will be financing a part of the purchase of the property, and we can't do that till we can satisfy them that there is a liquor license.
Well, it is a public hearing.
Yep. It is a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on the issue?
John Harrington, as you know, I've been in the liquor business for a number of years until I retired. If ever you should waive the requirement, I think you should do it tonight for this license transfer. I mean, we can get this restaurant up and running. It's running now, but it needs definitely a lot of work, and I would hope you wouldn't hold up the applicant from moving ahead right away. Thanks.
Okay. Well, based on the comments of the last two people, George and John, I'll make a motion that we waive the waiting requirement.
Close the hearing.
And close the public hearing, yeah.
Okay.
That's my motion, to close the public hearing.
I will second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the all alcohol, the transfer of the all alcohol license, restaurant license, including the common victuals and entertainment, from Stephanie Samsonis to Michael Lenzi and others.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks for coming in.
Can I just say one thing? Thank you for tonight. Thank you for doing that. And we're really looking forward to coming to Chelmsford and engaging ourselves in the community and being a part of everything that goes on out here, much like we do in Drake and we did formerly in Lowell. But we're real excited about coming to Chelmsford, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Great.
Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening, I'd like to introduce Stephen Servin, who's in the room this evening. He'll come to the podium. Stephen will be the town's municipal safety specialist. He'll begin his employment next Monday evening. I wanted to bring him here this evening to, introduce them to the board, and the community. Stephen has a prominent career, over 30 years in safety consulting and workers' compensation areas. He's worked for industry leaders such as Aon, Risk Services, and even going far back as Wang and Honeywell. And so, we formed a search committee. There were 4 of us in the selection panel, including myself, our Gary Perschetti, our Public Works Director, our Emergency Management Director, Steve Maffetone, and upon the selection, the interviews, we unanimously agreed to bring Stephen back for a second visit. We then did a tour of the facility at Public Works and had another chance to speak with him. And we're really confident that Stephen will get us off the ground. As the board and the community may be aware, back in February 1st, the state adopted the OSHA regulation requirements for the municipalities across Massachusetts, but it also just heightens the whole issue of workplace safety and so forth. And we're fully confident that Stephen can bring us where we need to be. And the other thing I want to note, there was a suggestion made at town meeting about reporting responsibilities. And as I try to do, I listen and heed. And Steve will be a direct report to me. So we will not be going through Public Works or any other department head. And in my discussions with Steve, his responsibility is workplace safety, because that not only affects our workers but also the public that goes into our buildings and on our roadways and other areas, and that's our paramount concern. And therefore, Steve will have the authority and certainly has the ability to get that done. So, if you have any other words you want to
pretty much
provide,
covered
Steve.
it quite well. Thank you. By the way, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome.
Do you have any questions by any chance?
So he's going to be seated.
He'll be working in this building. We're working with Public Works. He'll have an office in this building, probably on the lower level as you come in the stairwell on the on the fire department side. We're reconfiguring space, and so he'll have a direct office in this building.
Which space are you reconfiguring?
If you go to the bottom of the stairs where the old sewer office used to be,
Okay.
so that will be the space where he'll be located.
Welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Look
Thank you,
forward to
Steve, for
seeing you
coming out
around
this evening.
town.
Thank you very much.
Keep us safe.
Good evening.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Reports and presentations?
Yeah, the first one is John Souza. He has a couple items for your action this evening, and first one is a foreclosure vacancy, and so I'll turn it over to John. We've been through these before.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The first topic involves the property located at 91 Concord Road. I provided the board with a memo just detailing some of the history there and background on it. Basically, to summarize, the town received a foreclosure judgment from the land court as a result of a tax lien case for several years of unpaid property taxes. So the memo just details some of the efforts that we had to undertake, and I'm pleased to report that the property owners, as you'll see in the memo, made full payment. They made the initial payment on May 23rd to my office, and then made the final payment on June 4th. And in consideration of the full payment to the town, I'd like to ask the board to consider the motion that I provided to you. Essentially, what we're doing is, with the board's approval, the town's foreclosure council returned to land court and file the necessary paperwork to return the ownership of this property to Timothy Russell and Margaret McPhee in consideration of the full payment. And if the board has any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
We've done this for this property before, have we not?
Yes, this going back to 2014. 2014, there was a similar situation that involved, I'm going to say roughly five years or so of unpaid taxes. So I don't want to speak for the property owner, but just to give you some of the background, this house is not inhabited currently. It started undergoing renovations, so I just wanted to explain that no one actually lives in this house. I'm not sure if it's an investment property or just something that was purchased, but I have been told the owners are looking to market it, so hopefully things will improve there.
Have we just gone through this once with them, or is this?
This is the second time.
Well, I mean, once before, though.
Yes, once back in 2014.
Is it the same owners?
Yes.
And what's the cost for us as we go through this?
There are costs, I would point out, just for those that may be listening at home, there are legal costs. However, state law allows us to charge the owners for the legal costs. So, for example, the costs for our legal counsel to go back to land court, the property owners have been charged that amount. It's
So
a
is
little.
that in the paid amount here?
That's included in that paid amount that I've given you,
Okay.
as well as all the work in land court. It's unfortunate that it takes this level because there are legal costs that add up, but I just want to make everyone aware that that the other taxpayers are not funding that. It's being borne by the owners of this property.
Okay, well, hopefully this will be the last time we do it.
Hopefully, yes.
This
That's we're hoping.
Okay, I'll make a motion to vacate the final judgment covering the tax taking made against Timothy P. Russell and Margaret A. McPhee for unpaid taxes covering the property at 91 Concord Road, Chelmsford, upon payment of all taxes, interest, and charges due as provided under Mass General Law 6069.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And for the second item, just to go over, as everyone knows, we had a recent bond sale, and last Wednesday, June 12th, we had a successful auction of just over $7 million in municipal bonds, and the bonds were issued, as you see in this summary that was in your packet. We issued bonds for the following purposes. There was a Series A, which included $1.535 million of bonds for stormwater enterprise capital, about $2.1 million for a refunding of 2011 sewer construction bonds. And just to give you a quick summary, as many of you may know, what a refunding is it's a transaction that we undertake to save interest expense. So essentially what we're doing is we're calling in or retiring older 2011 bonds that are currently outstanding. And what we're going to do is when the older ones are called in, we're reissuing new bonds at a lower interest rate. And so what this will do is this is going to save the town about $248,000 over the next 12 fiscal years. We are able to benefit from, right now you've seen short-term interests have increased over the past 6 months to 12 months, but the interesting thing is you've seen longer-term rates, especially the 10-year U.S. Treasury, and that have actually gone down. So when you hear economists talk about a flattening of the yield curve and that, usually, this is kind of an unusual phenomenon where we're seeing short-term interest remain increased, but longer-term rates are going down. So that benefits us as the town as a bond issuer at this point. So our Series B bonds, about $3.4 million, were issued to fund our FY20 capital improvement program that was just approved at the last town meeting. So as you'll see in the information in your packet, we received bids from 9 firms this time for both series. It was very competitive. If we look back a year, we had 5 bidders, so the number of bidders is almost doubled. About a week earlier than that, Standard & Poor's released a new credit rating report for the town, reaffirming the town's bond rating at AA+ with a stable outlook. And if you had a chance to review the Standard & Poor's report, they were very complimentary on the town's management, budgetary performance, our liquidity, and our financial practices. This report followed a conference call that we held on May 31st between the town manager, the town accountant, the assistant town manager, and myself, our financial advisor from Unibank, and some Standard & Poor's credit analysts. So for Series A, the low bidder was Raymond James and Associates with a total interest cost of 1.808534%. And for the Series B bonds, the low bidder was also Raymond James and Associates with a total interest cost of 1.586402%. In my opinion, we received excellent rates on both of these bonds, and that's partially due to them being tax exempt and the interest rate phenomenon I described. Bond counsel has prepared a detailed motion for the board to vote and approve, and several related documents. I know you've given you a lot, then asked you to sign. But respectfully, I ask the board to approve the motion as written and award the sale of our bonds to the low bidder. Thank you. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
John, have we ever used Raymond James before?
They may have been a bidder. I know they weren't the successful bidder last year. We actually never know which firms. These are sold like on an electronic bidding platform. We have a financial advisor for our bonds. It's Unibank Fiscal Advisory Services from Whitensville, Mass. And they actually coordinate the online bidding.
Doesn't really matter who buys them, right?
No,
They're going to get packaged
I was
and
just
resold.
curious. Yeah, I was just
Yeah, we
curious
have-
if we had.
What they do is they have to register with Unibank Fiscal Advisory, and it's usually a series of financial institutions that bid all the time on various municipal bonds. But I know they're a national brokerage company.
Anything else? Comments? Need a motion?
Ready for a motion? Okay, I'll make a motion that in order to reduce interest costs, the treasurer is authorized to issue refunding bonds at one time or from time to time pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 21A of the general laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority to refund the town's $3,736,731 general obligation sewer bonds, Series A, dated June 15, 2011, maturing on or after June 15, 2020, the refunded bonds, and that the proceeds of any refunding bonds issued pursuant to this vote shall be used to pay the principal and interest on the refunded bonds and costs of insurance of the refunding bonds. Further, that the sale of the $3,355,000 general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2019 bonds, Series A, of the town dated June 26, 2019, the Series A bonds, to Raymond James and Associates, Incorporated, at a price of $3,792,842.31, and accrued interest, if any, is hereby approved and confirmed. The Series A bonds shall be payable on June 15th of the years in the principal amounts and bear interest at the respective rates as follows. And I'm just going to refer to the chart in this on this document. And further motion that the sale of the $3,005,000 general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2019 bond Series B of the town dated July 2nd, 2019, the Series B bonds, and together with the Series A bonds, the bonds to Raymond James and Associates Incorporated at the price of $3,404,634.55, and accrued interest, if any, is hereby approved and confirmed. The Series B bonds shall be payable on June 15th of the years and in the principal amounts and bear interest in the respective rates as noted again in this motion. Further, this motion that in connection with the marketing and the sale of the bonds, the preparation and distribution of a notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated June 5th, 2019, and in a final official statement dated June 12th, 2019, the official statement, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, and approved and adopted. Further, that the bond shall be subject to redemption at the option of the town upon such terms and conditions as set forth in the official statement. Further, that the town treasurer and this Board of Selectmen be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a continuing disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC Rule 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the bonds for the benefit of the holders of the bonds from time to time. And further, this motion states that we shall authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures and continuing disclosure procedures in such forms as the town treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax-exempt status of the bonds and to comply with relevant securities laws. And that each member of this Board of Selectmen, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of this motion. That's my motion.
Second.
That's the motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Paul, would it be possible for me to turn that AC on, or?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
George, now it's gonna blow in your microphone.
All right.
Okay. All right, so from there we go to the town accountant's performance review. All right, so I'm going to need help on the format here. Basically what we did is everybody emailed their comments to me, and I just basically put them all on one sheet. Should I just go through and read them, or how do you want to? Ideas for?
I think a summary would be fine.
Yeah, I think,
it's
yeah,
sufficient.
Yeah, summarize them, yep.
I think a quick summary would be.
So we had last year laid out, I think we all agreed to and came to terms with 4 goals. The first goal was implementing improvements to the payroll and cost savings, and that looks like that was pretty much completed. And then some of the stuff as far as W-2 earnings and statements and things like that, that's going to be ongoing. There's less than 10 people left on paper checks. So overall, I think the cost savings was recognized there. The second goal was, it was a requirement for when the auditors came in for OPEB backup and health insurance documentation. And I think what we arrived at and talking with Darlene was that instead of going back and going after all the retirees for a lot of this backup, that we have some of the files, and going forward, we're just going to require it on all new hires, and it will be tracked on an ongoing basis moving forward. Just because of the difficulty going back to some of the retirees that have been retired for years in getting some of the documentation. The third one was a review and implement of the Munis software. And again, this is ongoing, but there were some updates done. The big update as far as timing goes is not yet done, but it had to do with, Darlene, how the timing was done. Is that?
Well, I didn't want to do anything till I close out my year-end.
Right.
My year-end book, so.
Yep. So we were waiting for the closeout of the year-end books in order to complete that final step, so we don't lose any information. And then the big concern that at least I had, and I know I heard it from a couple others in reading what was sent in, was the attrition that we're starting to see in the staff in the accounting department. Darlene's received 2 retiree notices.
I only have 3 people in my office, so 2 is more
Yep.
than half of my staff is working.
So for everybody at home, there's 3 people on her staff in the office, and 2 have put in the retirement notice. And I've seen even just changing, like an administrator at a small business shut down the business for a month while they get the person up and running and trained, and even then it takes a good 6 months to a year before it returns to where it was. So I can't imagine 2 people who have been working with you for so long in this market trying to find new hires that are willing to work, have the education to do the job, and then want to work for a municipality. So that's the big concern. Overall, there were a lot of comments that were made, most of them were positive. One of the big notes that I saw was that there was, normally the accountants, the auditors come in and they spend 5 days in town hall, or they anticipate 5 days. And this year, they were out within 2, with compliments that everything was in order. They didn't have to go digging for it, and that freed up, 3 days of the audit. Overall, it seems everybody got the same opinion on great attitude, great skills. She executes her responsibilities accurately and thoroughly. She's willing to educate not only herself but her staff, takes initiatives with the town, the different departments, including the school business manager. She's always willing to collaborate. She's got great relationships and so forth. So finally, the final note, Darlene continues to lead the accounting department in an effective professional manner, and I think that really just summarizes what we all, I think, came up with. That was the general sort of gist of the whole review. Reviews, goals for next year. Again, more review and implement of the muni updates as they come. The big goal is to deal with the attrition issue. And that would include training 2 new employees, hiring and training 2 new employees, getting them up to speed, getting them integrated with your staff at the same time, integrating the new software system. So those were the sort of the 3 goals that were laid out. Comments?
No, I agree with what you said. I think Darlene's done an outstanding job as our town accountant. And I'm sure she'll be able to hire staff that will they'll slide right in there. And I know that at least one of the retirees is possibly going to be available for.
She's gonna be available for me, yeah, part-time, hopefully to
So.
train. Because we are they both people are leaving me on August 1st, so that's in the middle of my end of year close. So she's willing to come in for a couple days a week and help me out, and then get some projects done in my office that I'll need to have her do while I'm trying to get these people up and.
So between that and the Munis upgrades, the next 3 to 6 months are going to be a challenge.
And again, for anybody at home, what Darlene said was,
I'm
they're,
sorry.
they're both leaving August 1st, but one of them is willing to come back part-time because that's when she'll be closing out the books, to sort of fill in where they can to keep her at least on track.
Yeah, because we don't, you can run we run our last fiscal 19 warrant will be run on July 12th. So we don't do a hard close on June 30th. We give you 2 weeks into the July month to do 2 warrants to close out any bills that are late coming in for that fiscal year. So we really do like a hard close in August, and that's when I really close the books. So when I have these 2 people leaving me right in the midst of the close, and then trying to train 2 new people, I was hoping, it's really nice to have the other person that's the parts to come in part-time just to kind of help out and help me do that process too. The auditors, when they were here in May, I said, can you be patient with me? They're coming in on September 9th, right after Labor Day. They're going to be coming in to be here for 2 weeks for the big close audit. So I said, just be patient with me, because it's probably just going to be me, because the new person I have in the office, they're not going to know the filing system and where everything is, and journal entries and all those things. So they said, oh, don't worry, we'll be fine. We won't beat you up. We'll be patient with you. So it's going to be a busy summer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll get it done. We'll be fine.
So you have advertised for those positions?
Yes,
already?
Jeannie has posted, both positions are posted. They'll be closing, I think, next week. I haven't touched base with her yet to see what she has for applicants yet, but I really would like to, if I can, try to get both people in, maybe like a week before the other people walk out, just for a small little crossover training if I can. It's just hard. There's vacations in there, and people are busy, I know, and then the people I hire may have to give a 2 weeks notice, so you know how that is. It just gets really kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I thank everybody. I thank you for all your support through the year. I thank you for all the kind things that you've said in my review. I do really, work hard. I'm a townie. Not really. I'm a blow-in.
Yeah, but close.
I'm a blow-in. But I do live in this town. I've lived in it longer than I lived as a child in Westford. But and I love this town, so I'm dedicated to to this town, and it's important for me to see that everything runs smoothly. And I always thank the financial team. I always thank Paul and John for all of their support throughout the year too. It's great to work. We have a very good team, and that's very unique. In a municipality, when I go to accountant meetings, people say, "Well, I don't talk to my treasurer. Well, I can't. I don't talk to my town manager. I can't stand him. We don't get along." So I'm thinking, how can you get things done? How can that be? So this is a very unique situation where we actually do all get along and work, and it works really well, and it proves that when we go to bond ratings and things like that and talk to our bond rating agencies, they're happy to see that we have a good financial team, and it shows in our bond ratings.
You're from Westford?
I am. Born and raised there.
You can't hold that against her.
Don't hold me against that. But I married a Chelmsford boy, and he is a true Tommy, born and raised in Chelmsford.
He certainly is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So typically, we vote on the final overall rating in this meeting. So I will make a motion that we set the town accountant's rating as exceptional performance.
I have a second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I don't know if we wanted to do her salary adjustment.
Her
Is-
current step and level is?
Is level 9, step 4. I would make a motion that we increase her salary to level 9, step 5 as of July 1st.
I will second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're up, Paul.
Yeah, I have two appointments for your approval this evening. The first one is for the the first one is for the Center Village Master Plan Committee. That's a reappointment of Brian Melissi for a one-year term expiring June 30th, 2020. And the second is for the Robert Field Advisory Committee for Tamika O'Brien for a one-year term expiring June 30th, 2020.
Yeah, make a motion that we approve the town manager's appointments, reappointment for Brian Melissi to the Center Village Master Plan Committee and Tamika O'Brien to the Roberts Field Advisory Committee as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Could I ask if we could possibly do the town meeting, the appraisal at the next meeting, Paul? I haven't had.
Sure, whatever the board
I mean,
prefer.
I'm wondering if there's any objection. If there is, I'll just abstain, that's all.
I know you've had some issues that you haven't been able to get to address it, so I'm okay with that.
Whatever the board's preference is. As you know, we've done this as late as August some years, so whatever the board would prefer.
And I think that next meeting is a long one, too. Then we have a work session that night, too?
Work session for
No,
goals.
well, the next is goals. Basically, we're supposed to do town manager's goals, so we can do the performance appraisal and then goals the same night. That works. I
Okay.
don't think there's anything
I'd
else
appreciate it if
heavy
you,
on the next
because I'd
meeting.
like to
We
participate.
have one public hearing.
One public hearing, yeah, but that we could dispense with that real quickly at the beginning.
So, George, you'll complete it and get it to me, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
Apologize for that.
I've been laid up for the last 12 days. I try to keep in touch with the chairman, but he's faster and fast. He's slicker than slick.
I apologize for that, George. So, all right, so we'll push that off. So then we have a potential policy for signs and town property and municipal display of flags.
Yeah, and I didn't ask this to be put on here, but I have started looking at those. I don't know if anybody else has anything, but I have started looking at what other communities have. I don't have anything to present right now.
Mhm. I mean, I'll just give a background on why it's on there.
Okay.
I requested it was on there because I'm starting to get approached at coffee shops and around town with some ideas of, I want to put a flag on the CCA too, and some of these ideas are a little
Out there?
And before it gets out of hand, I think we should probably
Okay.
step back, but make a policy and,
Were you kind of, wrist slap for a couple of flags that we voted on, not you, but us? Were we allowed to?
I wouldn't say we're wrist slap, but I mean, it's a slippery slope, and now the door is open.
Right.
And now you have other people approaching saying, well, I want to put
I mean, you
mine.
got a couple letters, you said.
Yeah, I did. Which
So-
it is what it is. That's a separate issue. I just am wondering, how do you draw a line now? And I'm fine with what we did, but I just want to get a policy in place so that we have, something to stand on if someone comes in and says, I want to put up whatever, and we as a town don't agree with it.
Okay. All right, so I'll have a draft then, maybe for our next meeting. If not, then the next one after that.
Any other comments by the board members?
I'm just trying to figure out what it would be. I mean, if this is, so this is specifically coming up with backlash to LGBTQIA Pride Month. which
Again, I
is
don't
a-
think it's backlash.
An international thing.
Right. No, I don't think it's
So-
backlash. I think, but people are like, oh, well, if you're willing to do that, would you do this? And
I mean, if you look at the list of international celebrations for different months around the world,
Or even days. Today's
and days.
today's International Eat Vegetables Day.
I mean, like, there's International Pancake Day, there's
A couple
International
rotten
Peanut Butter
apples.
Day, there's, international, like, the list of things that are months or days to be celebrated is at times hilarious, at times, like May was, there's so many important ones as well as frivolous ones out there, and
I don't want to be caught up in the frivolous ones.
yes, so I think that
Gonna make it an application process or something, maybe?
I mean, we
I
could.
don't know.
but
I want to see what other towns have done. I know other towns have a policy, so.
Let's look at the policies then,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah,
feel
that's what I'll
if
do, yeah.
it's gonna be, international, people from countries ending in an A day, then I don't know, I can't imagine something frivolous. I could make fun of my own national heritage, because I know there's a month for my people somewhere on the calendar. And I laughed at it. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. And I sent it to my cousins. I'm like, look at this. And they're like, it's the best month ever. And, but it's you can bring up that sort of level of more or less seriousness.
Mhm.
And,
I just want to have a policy on the books. That's all,
Alright.
just to protect us.
okay.
It's a good idea.
That's our job. Okay. Thank you, Pat, for doing that. We have some meetings to approve.
Minutes, yep. I'll make
Yes, meeting minutes.
a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes for May 6th, 2019.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes for May 20th, 2019.
I will second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're cooking right along here. Liaison reports and referrals.
Start with me again?
Sure. Do you want me to switch it up? George?
Yeah, I haven't, been out much, but I have read a little bit in the paper about, and I'd like to congratulate a lot of the athletic teams at the high school for doing so well in the postseason statewide,
Mm-hmm.
particularly the girls. The girls have done exceptionally well. I mean, I think in 3 different sports, I think they're, one particularly with the the sectional champion or whatever.
Was that lacrosse? Was that
Yeah,
the
I think it
lacrosse?
was, yeah. And I know, I think it was soccer and well, the softball team didn't do so well, but they still competed
Mm-hmm.
extremely well. But winner is from the conference. I mean, I guess the conference was really tough this year, so they don't get much, any plaudits, so I think they've come a long way, and they're really good. Thank you.
Now we'll go to you, Virginia.
I have 3 liaison reports. The first is from the Board of Assessors and Sam Chase. The Board of Assessors would like to remind residents that the town's fiscal year starts July 1st and that there are various tax exemptions available for residential property taxpayers who meet specific qualification guidelines. Exemptions are generally based on taxpayer annual income and asset limits, and applications for fiscal 20 exemptions will be accepted starting July 1st, 2019, and will not be accepted after April 1st, 2020. And you can find more information on that at the town website's assessors page. I just want to say a little bit about the Chelmsford Center for the Arts. They had a really great benefit on Saturday night. My family attended with Jimmy Tingle called Humor for Humanity, and it was a real fun night. They had some other highlights in the past winter, spring, including a singer-songwriter series from 6 renowned, talented artists. In January, they transformed the cafe into a 1920s speakeasy evening. And through their ongoing fundraising, they've been able to upgrade the sound systems in both the auditorium and the cafe. So their fall schedule is coming out shortly, so stay tuned for that. And then from the Vinyl Square North Village Committee, the flower planters will be installed on Vinyl Square sidewalks this week. And also, if you haven't heard, Rosie's Diner is going to be featured on Restaurant Impossible, and they'll be in town filming on June 26th to 27th. They are looking for volunteers. Joe Tierney, or I'm sure others have more information on that, or I can send it. And the deadline for filling out the requirements to be a volunteer is Friday, June 21st at noon. That's it.
Okay. Emily?
Route 40 had a successful read-through and correction and tightening up of our draft for our presentation at the planning board, and that was rescheduled. So there's a PowerPoint that will be coming out. There will be a public hearing. Folks will get a chance to see the work and the recommendations. It was a remarkable report put together by Mike Walsh, who is now a member of the planning board. It goes through the actual process that the Route 40 committee took in order to arrive at its conclusions, and is very thorough, and I think with the edits we made should be very clear and easy to follow along. So I think that it'll be a good record, and the committee ended up producing another overlay that can be applied elsewhere in town fairly easily. So I think it's been a worthwhile committee, and it's been a lot of work, but it's produced some good results. So
Thank you. Pat?
Okay, since our last meeting, I've attended 2 high school graduations. The first was the Innovation Academy Charter School in Tingsboro, where Chelmsford had several students that graduated from Innovation Academy, so congratulations to them. And on the same day, Chelmsford High School had their graduation. All the seniors, over 400, I believe, the seniors that graduated at Tsongas Arena. So congratulations to them as they move on to their next stage of their lives. Our latest Eagle Scout in Chelmsford is Damian Gould. Congratulations to Damian for achieving that goal. And lastly, the Chelmsford Friends of the Library has some raffle baskets that they're going to be raffling off for the 4th of July. They will begin selling raffle tickets at the library on Monday, June 24th, up until the July 4th, although on July 3rd, The main library will be closed, so they'll be selling raffle tickets that day at McKay Library in North Chelmsford. And this is also in conjunction with a membership drive that they are initiating. The so-called new part of the library will be 20 years old on February 29th in 2020. So they're hoping to have 2,020 members of the Friends of the Library by February 29th, 2020. So if you're a member of the Friends of the Library and you've let your membership lapse, or you want to renew your membership or become a member, you can do that when you buy a raffle ticket, or just stop by the library and they'll have an application there. So that's a good goal for them, and looking forward to them being able to achieve that. That's it.
So I also was going to mention Restaurant Impossible. So if you can get up there, just so they are looking for volunteers, and it does go to about 2 in the morning when you do it, but
They have shifts defined,
yeah.
and you can sign up for one shift.
So it was in the Lowell Sun, but if I have the information, if you're interested and you want to be part of it, that'd be really great to help out Rosie. Last week, the Master Plan Committee also met, and I think I said at the last meeting, the board was selected for it, and what we did in the last meeting was go through and identify some of the sections that were probably the easiest to update, and sort of bundled those up, and then identify the ones that are going to take some more time and some effort. So we kind of ran through 4 or 5 sections pretty quick. But if anybody wants to come sit, the meetings are Thursday nights, and it's about every other Thursday night. The second and last, I think it is right now. That may change, but so just check the town website for the schedule. And Virginia, you were there. Did you find anything interesting in that meeting, or was it just we plowed through a lot of material? And
I think you hit the highlights.
All right, so that's it. Any press questions? Nothing? Okay.
Yeah, make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Have a great night.